minutes. Which one are we doing first? P and Z? P and Z. Just curious. We are hot tonight, so use your microphones. Ready? Start. Good evening, everyone. We'll go ahead and call to order.
Oblander,
Here.
Eggers,
Here.
Yingst,
Here.
Singletary,
Here.
Montgomery.
Here.
We have a quorum.
I should clarify, we're going to call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission first. We'll start with the first item, which is public comments. This is the opportunity for anybody from the public that wants to make any comments on any of the agenda items for this evening. Looks like we have one. If you just come up to the podium, state your name, and then go ahead with your comments. And then if you'll address which item it is you're having comments in regards to.
Hi, my name is Trish Campbell. I live at 1436 Maple here in Maine, and we need a carport really bad. We're getting up in years, and we're kind of crumpled up. And it would help a lot if we had a carport. We can't shovel snow, and last year the hail just beat our 2 cars to pieces. So we got a new car this year so we can go back with the doctor. So we'd like to protect it. We sure need a carport.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And I believe that item will be on the Board of Adjustments, so we'll just keep that public comment over for that when we come to that agenda. Any other public comments for the planning and zoning? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 4, discussion and possible action to approve the minutes from the September 5th, 2023 regular meeting. Do we have any comments or corrections?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Todd, is there a second?
I second.
Second by Chet, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Move to item number 5, discussion and possible recommendation to approve a rezone from an R1 to an R2 on the surface and surface rights only in and to the north half of Lot 1, Block 40, Funk Addition to the City of Guyman, also known as 912 North Beaver. And for this, we'll start with the staff report.
Okay, so Theron Land has submitted an application for rezoning his property from an R1 single-family residential to an R2 general residential. The reason for his request is to place a 30 by 55 duplex. The zoning is an R1 single-family residential in both 1994 and 2018 zoning maps, and the future land use is medium-density residential. Staff recommendation, we do not recommend the rezone from an R1 to an R2 because we don't feel like there's enough square footage to meet the minimum requirements for this potential project.
And then, does the applicant present and have anything they want to add to their application in regards to their application? And
Is there any way of getting a variance for that size of the property? If there's 25 foot on the side. From the street to the side, I think there's a setback of 15 foot, and that being on the side, I didn't know if there's any way of getting a variance for that, or?
it's a little unique in that we fill both roles here as Board of Adjustments and Planning and Zoning. At the Planning and Zoning Board Commission, we really can't address would there be the ability of a variance. It'd have to be an application that would come forward that would have to meet the variance requirements. It's something unique in nature to the property that required a variance from the regular ordinance, that it wasn't self-inflicted, that it wasn't for the purpose of, there's the 5 criteria that it has to meet, which would be on the application. And then it would have to actually be brought to the Board of Adjustments and then addressed at that time.
Okay, so is that something I can do?
You could, it would have to be a request for variance from the zoning ordinance which the property was in at that time. The agenda item for tonight is the future land use of that property, and it's about the land use, not the project specifically. And so it is, does it meet with the future land use map of the city to rezone that from an R1 to an R2? And once that's addressed, then you would have to bring the particular project forward to the Board of Adjustment, say, now I would like to request a variance for my project to move forward.
Right, that's kind of what I was wanting to do.
Yeah. That's the steps we'd have to take, so.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. We'll move into discussion on the application. Or follow-up questions from the staff report for anybody?
Were there any protests?
Received no protest letters?
I didn't see any, so I assume not, but.
For clarification's sake, in what we've received in our packet, the check marks mean what?
For the check marks, we actually just check them off after we send them out.
Okay.
So I can give you a total that we sent out. We sent 36 letters and no protesting came back.
On the recommendation based on the size of the sketches presented as the rezone application, and that there's not enough room on the lot for the required setbacks, that's kind of a recommendation specific to the project that was presented, not necessarily to the whether or not an R2 fits within the future land use of the.
Right. He put on the application the 30 by 55. So if he didn't put that, it would have been different for a recommendation, I believe. But due to what was presented, that's what we recommended.
Any other questions or discussion?
So on the 2018 zoning map, I'm just asking for clarification. I think I'm pretty obvious, all that gray around there, that it's the it's only R1 within
Yes.
a few blocks of that location,
Yeah,
correct?
I would say in the 300-foot radius, it was all R1.
Any other discussion or questions?
My discussion would be that in addition to the staff's concern of the size of the proposed structure is also the issue that would appear to me to look like a spot zone if this was changed. I know it's only going 1 degree of difference, and but that has come before us in the past and prevented one from going forward. It seemed.
That's kind of my interpretation as well, because of all the surrounding properties are all in the R1 single-family residence, and so this would be a rezone to a uniqueness within that area. Any other questions or discussion? Seeing none, if anybody would care to, I'd entertain a motion.
I'd like to say that I appreciate the applicant looking to add a duplex, because according to our research, it indicates that this type of housing is needed. However, based on the size of the projected structure and the lack of other R2 zoning in the area, I would make a motion to deny the request for rezone from R1 to R2.
Have a motion?
I'd second that motion.
Okay. Motion and a second. We'll go with a roll call vote for this.
Egger,
Aye.
Yingst,
Aye.
Singletary,
Aye.
Oblander,
Aye.
Montgomery.
Aye.
There are 5 ayes.
So the recommendation to the council for not allowing the rezone was carried.
Yes.
We'll move to item number 6. Any board or staff comments for planning and zoning? Anything from staff? Seeing none. Anything from the board? Go to move to item number 7 and adjourn. Now we will go ahead and call to order the meeting of the Board of Adjustments.
Oblander,
Here?
excuse me, Egger,
Here.
Yingst,
Here.
Singletary,
Here.
Montgomery.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Move to the public comment section of the agenda. Again, this would be for any public comments for Board of Adjustment items. This is your opportunity to speak to any of the items on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move to item number 4, discussion and possible action to approve the minutes from the September 5th, 2023 regular meeting.
Move to approve?
Second.
Moved by Tim, second by Todd. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Move to item number 5, discussion and possible action to approve a variance at Lot 53 of the amended plat of Henry C. Hitch Edition, also known as 307 Paul Avenue. And we'll begin with the staff report.
So Alan Arietta Cocoon applied for a variance on his property, 307 Paul Avenue. He's applying for a 14-foot setback from the street to his desired carport and 1 foot from the side of his property. So the reason for this variance is so he can put a 22-foot by 20 carport on his property. He does not have the setbacks we require, which is 25 feet from the street and 5 feet from the side. Staff recommendation, we recommend 2.5 setback at least from the side of the property line and 14 from the street.
That's the middle of the street.
I'm sorry?
That's the middle of the street.
No, it's from the edge.
The edge of the street.
Okay.
Is the applicant here that wants to present any additional statements for their application besides what was written?
Yeah, so by doing this would allow me to fit both my vehicles with the 1 foot variance from the side. If I do any further closer or farther than that, I can't really fit 2 vehicles because of the way my driveway is. I have a tree as well that was preventing me from going any further to the other side. And 14 foot variance, it would also be able to cover my whole vehicles from any weather, things like that.
Okay. Move into discussion. I know we've had a few of these in the last 12 months specific to this area of town that's a little bit unique in that there's quite narrow roads and minimal off-street parking. I do know in the past, and just for consistency on the setback from the side, your recommendation is that 2.5, because then that maintains a 5-foot total between the 2 properties on the side. Is that correct?
Yeah, mainly because there's a lot of people that also like to overhang. So if we did, for example, if we did a 1 foot setback and they overhang it 2 feet, that would be hitting the property line of the neighbors.
Hold on. What the variance is asking for is an overhang that would be on the neighbor's property?
No, what the variance is asking for is where they may put their posts.
Yeah.
So as far as the overhang, that just depends on when they get the building permit and all that stuff. They would have to contact the building inspector and do all that fun stuff.
And we wouldn't do that? The overhang on the neighbor's property?
No,
Probably.
no, that wouldn't be allowed. That's the reason
Yeah.
we would require the 2.5 foot. Because
Okay.
most of those do come outside the post, a minimum of a foot.
Yeah, that's why we recommend
I'm
it.
just clarifying, making sure I heard correctly.
Sure, always good.
And with respect to the letters that went out,
No protesting letters. No protesting letters, but we did send out
looks like 30.
30 letters. And
Yeah.
no protesting.
Any other discussion? I was just, on the variance request, I always like to bring up the 4 points, as I mentioned earlier, that there's something extraordinary, exceptional about the property, which I briefly addressed earlier, that this area of town is the unusual aspect of very narrow roads that really limits any sort of on-street parking, and the need for more off-street parking for the properties. Then you get into, does it cause any undue harm or unnecessary property valuations, et cetera? I like to gauge a little bit of that based on letters of protest from the neighboring properties, if those neighbors have belief that there's going to be undue harm to them. So, and then of course does the zoning ordinance create an undue hardship? And that's, the ordinance in of itself maybe doesn't, but because of the uniqueness of the property, that ordinance has an undue hardship on that area of town. So that's my opinion of it.
And your opinion is it passes under all 4 of those points? I agree.
Considering, there's an inspection after the fact, I mean, there should be no reason not to approve, so I'd make a motion to approve.
And I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Move on to item number 6, discussion and possible action to approve a variance for Lot 4, Block 2 of the East Ridge addition to the City of Guyman, Texas County, Oklahoma, also known as 1436 Maple Avenue. Give the staff report on that.
Yes, so Patricia Campbell applied for a variance. She would like the 15 feet setback from the street and 2 feet from the side. Again, 25 from the front. Our requirements are 25 from the front, 5 from the side. Our property is quite unusual. We sent out 32 letters, and we did not receive any protesting letters. Again, we did the same recommendation as we did for Allen, which was we just recommend the 2.5 feet setback from the side of the property line and the 15 from the front. Any questions?
And then, Ms. Campbell, you'd made some comments earlier. I assume, do you want to come back up, or are you good for now? If there's anything you want to add to that?
Yes, if we go 2.5 from the sides, it won't go on the neighbor's property. But if we don't go the 15 foot or whatever, did I ask for 15 or 20?
15.
15? So they want to give me less than that, but it would only cover the hood of my car, so I'm asking for a little bit more. But it wouldn't go on the neighbor's lot at all.
Let me find that sketch here.
It is 20. It is 20. Yes.
Yes.
Paul, you'd like to go back to your 4 points?
Yeah, I was just reading through the the sketch versus the staff report here to make sure my mind was wrapped around the setback request. The drawing is a little tough for me to read because it looks like it's staff. When you've already done a site inspection to look at this and measuring, so I want to make sure I understand this drawing correct. It looks like on their request was for a request for to only have a 20-foot setback or to have a 15-foot?
Okay, so there's a 20 by 18 on there. That's her desired carport. But from the street, or from, I say, the curb, going into the property to meet that project that she's wanting to do, she would need 15-foot setback from the street.
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to read that because it looked like it was maybe almost even down to a 5-foot setback because it looked like 25 was to the front of the house, and then they're going to come 20 foot out from that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure the measurements on her driveway, but when we went
When
out
you
and
measured it out to get to the end of her carport, it would be a 15-foot setback.
Right.
And then her sketch was for 2 foot from the sideline, but you're recommending to keep that to 2.5, like, okay. Any other questions for staff or discussion on that? The size and shape of the lot does look like it's a little bit angled and it's not as squared off as some, which would cover the unique of the property lot size. Does the zoning ordinance create an undue hardship that wasn't self-imposed for them for needing a variance? I am not as familiar with this section of town. I was going to go drive through it and I forgot, but I've driven through it several times, but I don't believe those streets are quite as narrow as the other section. Not really.
But they are narrow.
But with the application that we've had this before, that they've addressed their hardships with being able to keep snow and ice off of their driveway. That's their request for this, for their ability to move in and out. Condition peculiar to their property, again, that's back to really item 1, which is the property unique in its shape. And then, does it cause a public harm to grant a variance? Back to the no letters of protest indicates that the public doesn't see a harm.
I would make a motion to accept the staff recommendation for item 6.
Okay.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to recommend approval with the staff recommendation of 2.5 setback from the side and a 15-foot setback from the street. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. We will move to item number 7, board and staff comments. Staff have any comments? Seeing none, board, any comments? In your packet under board comments, you'll notice our 2024 schedule of meetings. We'll need to take action on that tonight to continue with the 6:30 meeting time for the first Tuesday of the month. So I'd entertain a motion from any of the board members to approve that agenda for 2024.
I would make a motion to approve the agenda for 2024 meetings as presented.
I'll second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That'll be our agenda for 2024. And we'll move to item 8, to adjourn.
Keep that.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
I couldn't second that motion because I missed more often.
Man, you best at it.
I couldn't tell you
Oh,
whether
yeah.
that's a good schedule or not. We'll see how my schedule's working. Usually what happens is I know I have a meeting coming up and
Where are you
then
gonna walk?
5 o'clock hits and
Home?
Down the middle of the street.
this kid
Right.
goes here,
You're
this kid
gonna
goes
walk home?
there, and then I'm like, all right, let me get all that test, and then wasn't I supposed
And
to do
this is the
something
time
today?
you've
Yeah.
chosen to take that.
Today.
Today, okay.
I was gonna try and catch
So you did it.
Work and here, but I didn't, so.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
What should we be nervous about?
Y'all. I have to study it to see who